What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday we did talk about all the big PlayStation sales that went live on PSN, and today we'll go over some of the big Switch sales that have now gone live on the eShop with a bunch of games seeing discounts, as well as one big AAA game getting marked down that we just have to go over. Also, we're going to be talking about a sizable update that was published for Halo Infinite. It seems to be getting people excited as we head into E3, where we assume to see the big re-reveal for Halo Infinite. And we did have review scores published yesterday for Returnal, which is out today, and we'll take a look at those as well. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with an update for the Windows Store, and that actually has to do with the cut that Microsoft takes from developers and publishers when they put games on the Windows Store. We can head over here to The Verge, where they say the software giant is reducing its cut from 30% to just 12% from August 1st in a clear bid to compete with Steam and entice developers and studios to bring more PC games to its Microsoft Store. This from Matt Booty, who's the head of Xbox Game Studios at Microsoft, saying, "Game developers are at the heart of bringing great games to our players, and we want them to find success on our platforms. A clear, no-strings-attached revenue share means developers can bring more games to more players and find greater commercial success from doing so." This obviously is competing with the Epic Game Store that has the same 12% cut, and it's probably going to work to put more pressure on Steam. While it's not a straight 30% cut with Steam, because apparently as you sell more and more copies, go beyond 10 million and then 50 million, that 30% revenue cut goes from like 30 to 25 to 20. It's certainly not as good as what Microsoft's doing here and what Epic Games has been doing for a while with their storefront. And I like the idea of it going to 12%, obviously, because it just means that the developers, whether it's an indie developer or even a big publisher, would get more money to make more games for us. It'll just be interesting to see if maybe Steam will budge on this with now Microsoft and Epic Games doing it. Also, it looks like Jedi Fallen Order is going to be getting a next generation patch to get things updated for the new systems. And I really like this game. It's one of my favorite Star Wars games released in quite a while, being done by Respawn. And we can head over here to StarWars.com, where they posted this up in their news section. This under Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order coming this summer. We're excited to announce the next gen release of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, bring a number of technical improvements to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S console versions of the game. This will be a free cross-generation upgrade to current owners. More details will come soon. So we'll have to see what exactly they have planned there. And I know people are still weirded out by the whole thing of it being free because it's EA and they assume that loot boxes will be attached in some way. Still, people are looking for them in Jedi Fallen Order. But like I said, Respawn did an awesome job with this, and I like the idea of them going back and revisiting it for a next generation patch. The game already runs better on like the Xbox and the PlayStation 5, the Series X and the PlayStation 5, but why not take full advantage of those systems? Because the game does actually continue to sell. So sure, update it for the newer systems, then sell it again to everyone getting a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. Certainly worth checking out and picking up ahead of this upgrade if you haven't already. Oh, and do you remember how we talked about that Miitopia demo that dropped for the Switch? It's a free demo you can grab, and your save data will transfer over to the full game, and it's actually a fairly sizable demo. People saying it's like 3-4 hours even of content there, but something everyone seemed to notice is that the Mii creator tools are actually quite a bit better. So much so that people are creating some pretty interesting Miis. For example, we can see this article from Nintendo Life that started to round up a lot of these tweets, and we can see immediately the Electric Fox points out just the overall upgrades that have been done here with a couple of side-by-side screenshots. But then we go on a bit further where people are making like Steve from Minecraft. We have Mega Man, we have SpongeBob. I mean, the list goes on here. There's Garfield, Mr. Clean, Banjo was one of them. Apparently the biggest thing here is that they added wigs and makeup. Like, that's it, but we're to the point now where people are able to use all of the, I guess, just the extra things added and create these different characters. There are even guides online now of how to do it. So pretty cool there, I guess, to see the Mii creator tools continue to improve as we work towards Miitopia releasing. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the Golden Week sales that are currently happening right now on the Nintendo Switch eShop. And we'll head over here, starting with Square Enix Golden Week sale. This has already started, and it'll be running till the 5th of May at 8:59 a.m. Pacific time. And I mean, look at this right away. Balan Wonderworld is marked down from $60 to $40. It's amazing that Square is already doing this. I mean, the game just came out like, what, a month ago? And already it's being marked down that much. Big stuff there for Square with their AAA Knights game. Then we have Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, Everybody, that's marked down to $20. I do like Collection of Mana being marked down to $20. That's a good one there. All of the Final Fantasies are pretty much marked down. You have 9, that's down to $10.49. Final Fantasy 7 is a steal at this point at $8. If you've never played Final Fantasy 7, I mean, come on, it's $8. Final Fantasy 8 remastered at $10. Final Fantasy 12 down to $25 there. And then we have some of the newer RPGs for this gen, with Lost Sphere being marked down to $20 and Ononaki being marked down to $25. You also have Trials of Mana being cut in half down to $25. That's an awesome game, by the way. If you have not played Trials of Mana, completely recommend that one. World of Final Fantasy Maxima down to $20. Star Ocean First Departure R is $10.49. And if you're interested in the Romancing Saga games, both 2 and 3 are marked down with $12.49 for 2 and $14.49 for Saga 3. We also have Nice doing the Nice America Golden Week 2021 sale. That one has also already started and will be running till the 9th of May at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. And Nice, generally when they do this, they have some pretty good markdowns overall. I mean, you can see like Disgaea 4 Complete down to $30, and those Disgaea games will last you quite a while. Langrisser 1 and 2 down to $30. Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 down to $36. Disgaea 1 Complete down to $20. Ys 8 down to $24. I always say if Ys 8's on sale and you've been kind of on the fence about it, certainly worth picking up. It is a very, very good game. And if you want to try, we'll say a unique game, Happy Birthdays, is $10. But overall, pretty good sales here for Golden Week. I mean, come on, Balan Wonderworld marked down to $40. Doesn't get much better than that, right? But in all honesty, for Balan Wonderworld, I might actually continue to look into that one physically. If it keeps dropping down in price, I feel like they're not gonna print too many more physical copies of that one, so might be one to grab for the collection. Physically, is just, I saw it was already marked down digitally, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But otherwise, though, the Square Enix sale outside of that looks pretty solid, and Nice America always shows up with some pretty good deals. So make sure you check out the Golden Week sales over on the eShop. They're live now. Next up, let's talk about the big update for Halo Infinite, because every month or so, we've been looking for updates around this game as we head towards what we all assume to be a holiday launch for the game, and most likely they will have a big re-reveal of it at E3, hopefully looking much better. But we can look over here at Windows Central. They had a nice summary of everything that was said by Microsoft in their latest blog post, where we can see at the top, head of Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty, has announced that Halo Infinite will fully support multiplayer crossplay between Xbox and PC platforms. Halo Infinite will also feature cross progression so players can keep everything they earn when they switch between platforms, and additionally the game will also sport various PC specific features like support for ultra wide displays, triple keybinds, and tons of different graphics options players can adjust. And if you're wondering why there seems to be such a push towards PC for Halo Infinite, well, if you look over at PC Games End, for example, where they did talk with Microsoft and World's End, they said Halo the Master Chief Collection has had more than 10 million players on PC. So yeah, Halo's back in a big way on PC. And I had mentioned before that if they can get the Master Chief Collection correct on PC, you will have a lot of people rolling in to play Halo again there. Because I had mentioned before, we were doing all kinds of stuff with the original Halo way back in the day to keep that community alive, and unfortunately it didn't work out when Halo 2 dropped because they tied it to like Windows Live with Windows Vista, and it was really frustrating. Then Halo 3 never showed up. It was just on the Xbox at the time, or Xbox 360. So to see Halo, the Halo Master Chief Collection do really, really well on PC, yes, you're going to see this big push towards PC gaming with Halo Infinite. I love the idea of crossplay right out of the gate. Cross progression, which is amazing. The idea that, yes, I can play on my PC or I can go to my Xbox, and all of my unlocks, the content I've really worked to earn in the game will just be there, or even your save file if you're, I guess, playing through the single player side. It's good to hear all of this. And keep in mind, the multiplayer is going to be free to play. At this time, Microsoft has lifted the Xbox Live Gold barrier, so you're going to have an influx of people on Xbox just playing Halo Infinite with people on PC who will also be doing that, all of which will be free of charge. And yes, that means we'll see things like, I'm sure, battle passes, microtransactions. They're more or less going to go the route of what we see with something like Fortnite or Call of Duty Warzone, and so far that's worked really well, and that means that this Halo Infinite multiplayer side will probably be able to continue on for a long time. This could legitimately end up being a 10-year multiplayer, and if you have the install size that has PC and Xbox all together, it could be something really, really cool. So I'm very happy to hear about this update, and I gotta tell you, I'm looking forward to what they have to show at E3 because I think that's going to be a big blowout for Halo. Obviously, it's going to be, I think, their big focus for a holiday release. Yes, it will be a year later, but it sounds like they've put a lot of work into it, and I'm looking forward to see what they have. Next up, let's talk about Returnal. It is out today along with Pokemon Snap. I'm going to be picking both of those up, playing as much as I can ahead of the podcast tomorrow, and hopefully able to give some impressions on either one. But we did get the review scores for Returnal that hit the internet. But first, I want to head over to a posting that Housemarque put up on their website, and it does actually talk about Sony in this. Remember all the stuff and the press out there about Sony looking for the big budget games? They don't care as much about the more, I guess, the smaller creative games. Remember, Housemarque hasn't exactly done a game like this, so there's some risk involved with them doing it and putting this kind of money in to publish it and all of this. But take a look at what Housemarque had to say about Sony. They said, in the age when game publishers are taking less and less creative risks, we are truly thankful to our publishing partner Sony, who has given us an opportunity to work on something very risky and has given fantastic support during the whole project. We are forever grateful for having this opportunity, which, after reading that, we can head over to the Metacritic score. Returnal is currently sitting at an 86, which is great. That's about what I thought it would be. I figured it'd be mid-80s to high 80s, and I think 86 is probably where it's going to stick because this is based on 85 critic reviews. If we look at the current split, 81 would be positive, and there's only 4 mixed with 0 negative reviews, and a lot of it really goes over the core loop of the game, which, yes, it's a roguelike game. Roguelike and roguelite, it's basically a game where you go through it several times on different runs, try to progress a little further every time, and we already went over a lot of the previews, but people were wondering how well would this formula stick, especially when it came down to people reviewing the game, and does this feel like a game that's worth $70? Well, based on a lot of the reviews, people seem pretty happy with the game. The difficulty was mentioned here and there. It does sound like it's a bit harder than your average game, but considering that a lot of these runs would last anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, yeah, it's going to be more difficult because eventually you get to the point where you can beat the game as, I guess, you unlock more and more things. However, it does appear a lot of the stuff you get is temporary, whereas you do find some objects that will allow you to progress further in the world. That's where that Metroidvania stuff comes up. But I will bring up one issue that some people were pointing out in these reviews, because this probably will be important to people who don't have blocks and blocks of time to sit down and play a game. It does appear that there's no save points when you're in the middle of your run, which can last, as some people are saying here, up to 2 or so hours. It, of course, depends on how well, I guess, the randomization goes in your favor. If you've played some of these roguelike games, you'll have some things pop up like passive abilities or guns, and it's randomized and procedurally generated as you go through. So let's say you're having a good run. Yeah, it could last up to 2 hours, and you're not able to necessarily save in the middle of it. There's no like checkpoints or anything. So you have to put your PlayStation into rest mode. And I understand people are still very cautious of that. So that's something that maybe Housemarque could look into patching, where there is a checkpoint that when you load it, that checkpoint's then just destroyed. And then you have to continue through, and then you, I guess, do another checkpoint and all. Basically, you won't be able to go back and keep reloading that same save over and over again if you die, because the idea of this game is that you're going to die a lot and keep replaying it. But hey, I'm very happy with what I was reading here. Going to be picking up 2 what appear to be well-reviewed games in new Pokemon Snap and Returnal, and having a blast this weekend. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the Sony State of Play that took place yesterday, because there wasn't necessarily a ton of new information that we got from it. It was mostly geared around, hey, here's 15 minutes or so of us playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and it looked very good. To kick off, though, they did show off Subnautica, which was interesting enough. I mean, you can see some of the trailer here. This is for Below Zero. And then they shifted over to Among Us, which is going to be coming to the PlayStation this year. Cool to see that, as is a very popular multiplayer game, obviously. But the big draw was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And I saw some people like, I know Sean mentioned it, do we really need to see more of it? To be honest, I don't. I'm already sold on the game. I mean, for a lot of people, it's the next big PlayStation 5 game that they're looking forward to. Trust me, we have a poll about Returnal coming up here pretty soon that people voted on. But I mean, I can't pass up seeing more gameplay of Ratchet and Clank. And what you want to do is, they showed the stream. It was set at 1080p and it was like stream quality. Go look at the video they uploaded right after that stream ended, because it is in 4K. It's still compressed through YouTube, but it is like the best look we've had at Ratchet and Clank so far, and it looks great. Like, going through and they explain a lot of the different features around the DualSense. They showed Rivet having some gameplay. They showed, of course, Ratchet running through, and they were going through these different environments, and wow, it looks so good visually. Like, very, very impressive. And again, it's through stream, but I mean, the gameplay looks solid. They try their best to explain things like how the DualSense is working. Let's face it, we just need to pick up the DualSense and actually play it. But looking at what they showed here, it wasn't anything too new, really. It was just more reinforcing that, yes, that's the next big PlayStation 5 game that I think the majority of people are looking forward to, and probably would be buying a PlayStation 5 if they can find it. So looking forward to Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. They probably didn't even have to do it, but it was really cool to see another 15 minutes of gameplay for it. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, now the Returnal reviews are out with an 86 on Metacritic, are you more interested in the game? And yeah, 25% said, yes, the reviews changed my mind on the game, and then 75% said no, it still doesn't look like a game I want to spend $70 on. And I mean, I kind of think that Housemarque understands that this isn't going to be a game for everyone. And yes, Sony is kind of setting it up with that $70 price. And I hope Sony has their expectations kind of in check for this game. Like, I don't think it's going to set the world on fire when it comes to sales. Clearly, every time I talk about it or put up a poll, there's a lot of people who are interested. Although, there are also not a lot of people interested in new Pokemon Snap. I think that game is going to sell pretty well. Although it is Pokemon, and Pokemon's super hot right now when it comes to sales around cards and merchandise and games. But either way, though, Returnal being a new IP with this interesting idea from Housemarque, who is making things like Resogun, I do hope that it ends up at least doing well enough to where Sony feels like they made the right call backing this game, so we can get another creative game, we'll say, from Housemarque in the future. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Dan saying, Reddit's Titanfall 2 is doing an event where everyone plays the game on May 1st to let Respawn know the game is still alive and kicking. Maybe cover this before or after, if you can. Well, there we go. I'll tell you now, Titanfall 2 is stupidly cheap half the time. It's like $3 or $4 most sales on Steam or PlayStation or Xbox, or it's just on Game Pass. So, okay, go ahead, download the game, load it up on May 1st along with everyone else, just to show Respawn knows that people... Look, I'll tell you now, Respawn knows that people want a Titanfall 3, is what I'll say. And I think there is a possibility that Respawn does make a Titanfall 3. It really just comes down to when they're able to bring it all together and when they get the green light from EA, because Apex Legends does make a lot of money. But I feel like Titanfall 3, if it came out now and it had a chance that wasn't like between Battlefield and Call of Duty like it was with Titanfall 2, and how much popularity has really grown around the franchise since Titanfall 2, I think it would do really, really well. I mean, if you go back now, the campaign is still fantastic. If anything else, download the game, play through the campaign. It's like 5 or 6 hours. I actually spent this past week on and off going right back through it. It's still a blast. Certainly worth checking out, and at least, I guess, download it from Game Pass if you can and load it up on May 1st, just to remind Respawn that we still really like the game. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's the big Golden Week sale on the Switch? Point out any good deals you spotted there in the comments. That, of course, includes Balan Wonderworld. And then, what do you think about the big update that was published for Halo Infinite? You know what? I'm getting excited again for Halo. Looking forward to E3 to see what improvements they've made around the game since the last time we saw Craig. And then also, what do you think about the state of play? I know a lot of people are probably already sold on Ratchet and Clank, but did that state of play sell you on the game even more? Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Newswave.